Hi, I'm Mike, and welcome back to the Free to Live project with Mike. Grief and loss. Life is full of hellos and goodbyes. Grief from our past and future grief that we know is coming is heart-wrenching. Grief is just love and hope with nowhere to go. When you wake up in the morning and you went to sleep the night before and you were grieving and you wake up and that black cloud just seems to settle from the ceiling and envelops your soul. There's a psychologist called Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and she wrote a very cheerful book called On Death and Dying. And she worked with cancer patients who knew that they were terminal. And she coined a phrase called DABDA. It's called the grief wheel. It's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. DABDA. Denial. This isn't happening to me. It can't be happening to me. It's absolute denial. Anger, why the hell is this happening to me? Why me? Why has this person been taken away? Why me? Often angry at God at the same time. Bargaining is all the what ifs. What if I'd said this? What if I'd said that? What if I hadn't asked them to do this? What if I'd done things differently? And every what if has zero answer, and they all just exacerbate the grief. Depression is the next phase of Dabda, and that's that empty, hollow, black, terrible place. Depression, and finally to acceptance, where we get to accept the grief. Now, what we miss was our delight and our joy and our love and the relationships and the connections and the comfort. Psychologists have even ranked grief. There's a scale of grief right at the very top is the loss of a child, which I cannot even start to fathom, to imagine that kind of grief. All losses in our lives, whether they be divorce, a breakup, a retrenchment, a loss of a close friend who moves away or passes away, even moving house, these fall into the same grief cycle of Dabda. Here's the hard part. All of our unresolved griefs, all of them from our past, get sucked into the current grief. And the hardest part is actually dealing with grief and managing it. Everybody comes up and says, we'll cherish the memories. It's hard because of the empty, gaping space in our lives. Grief can come suddenly when someone passes away, very quickly, or it can be slowly where somebody has cancer or has Alzheimer's disease. Terrible way to watch someone fade away. So how long does grief last? Well, how long is a piece of string? I think one of the things that I've learned over years is that when you wake up in the morning and suddenly you feel guilty that you didn't think about that person the day before, that's starting of the grieving process. Can we grieve forever? Yes, we can if we choose to. Some people die of a broken heart, especially people who've been in very long, long marriages, and a partner will pass away. And within a short while, the other person will pass away. They die of a broken heart. What we miss is the nearness and the presence and the voice and everything about that person, which has just gone. Again, it's grief for our past. It's grief for everything that we miss. Life is full of these hellos and goodbyes, and you and I are going to have many or have had many. In my life, I've lost my dad when I was 17. I lost my mom, my sister, and my brother. I've lost close friends as well. One of my best friends, he was 29 years old. I've lost other brothers and sisters in the biking world too. What's often left are the photographs and the memories and sometimes possessions that have been passed down, but they cannot replace the person that is gone. But nobody can rob us of our memories. And when we go back to the good memories, our body actually reacts as if it's that moment of joy. And nobody can rob us of that. Often, the legacy of someone who's passed away gets to be lived through us. And we can honor somebody's passing by being that legacy as well. When people are grieving around you, don't force them to grieve. They're grieving in their own time. Grief and loss are part of life, and they hurt like hell. If you're grieving right now, get some help, get some counseling. Also, if you're grieving right now, perhaps join a grieving group as well. You and I have got today. That's all we have. And if we live in our grief forever, we don't get to often honor the day and have joy in the day. I know this is a pretty melancholic subject, but grief is part of life. So is joy. So is everything that's been gifted to you and me today. God spared me another day to make another video, and for that, I am grateful. If you've enjoyed this video or have some comments on this video, please like and subscribe below, and I'll see you next time on the Free to Live Project with Mike. You be blessed and live today and honor grief if you're going through it. Blessings.